In this video, we're going to show you how to create a LinkedIn ads campaign, some of the things to watch out for that can cause your campaign to lose performance or underperform, and we'll just jump right in. So right now we have our test account. We'll go over to create a campaign within this ad group or campaign group. We'll go ahead and click next. So we have the three columns here. We have awareness, consideration, conversion. Most of what we're using in our campaigns is going to be the brand awareness, website visit, video views, lead generation, and website conversion. In this example, we'll use website visit. So immediately in this example, I'm actually going to take away all this targeting, but LinkedIn saying, hey, listen, we want you to have a website conversion objective. That's not what we're going to be focusing on here. It doesn't mean that we're not going to add that as a listener to the campaign, but it just means that we're not going to be optimizing for conversions. We need a lot more data on the account before we can actually get that active and running. So next you'll see audiences. You'll have saved audiences, so past saved audiences, as well as any audiences that are pre-built by them. So obviously they have a couple in here that are mostly used or used more often that they've set up here. We're going to reset all of this targeting and start over. So right now I need to choose a location. So I have something to note here is you have recent and permanent. So I want to be careful. I want to choose United States in this example, but I don't want to choose recent because that could just mean someone who's out of country who visited the United States, and that's not going to work if that's the kind of customers you're going after. They need to be in the United States. So what we'll do here is we'll select United States. I can also select the state level, but I'm just going to choose United States here. Now it's basically saying, hey, listen, you have 200 million people in the United States without any targeting. And then it's going to give me some projections based on spend. So it's going to say, hey, spend this range. So we can expect for impressions, clicks, 30-day clicks, and cost per click. Now, typically I would say this is a good reference, but rarely is this accurate. So you can kind of just use it for mostly what you're going to be looking at is your audience size here. I wouldn't really stick to any of these metrics below. So next we'll go in and get our targeting going. So there's a lot of things to target by. You can target by your own audiences, so list upload, lookalike, retargeting, third party, so HubSpot lists that you can create. And there's also audience attributes. So this would be company, demographics, education, job experience, interests, and traits. So for job experience, the main one is, and that's typically the main one we're going to use. We're going to be selecting things like job titles or job functions as a starter point, and then we'll use maybe a company industry to kind of refine it further. So primary is jobs titles and job functions. Member skills, if you really need to kind of expand, but in this example, we're not going to get there. What we're going to do is just build off a simple job title plus a company, and we'll use industry for that, as just to show you how to do a kind of a narrowing of your audience here. So job titles, we'll just go really quick. We'll just do director. We can select, executive director, managing director. And we have a couple other options shown here for suggested. And I'm just going to do this really quickly. So now that we have those selected, now I can narrow my audience here by creating an AND function, or if I want this to be an OR function, I actually just open this up and then just do another search. So if I did job experience again, and then did title, or actually let's go back because that's not going to give us if I did member skill being project management. So now it's going to give me an OR function, and that actually just catapulted the audience size because basically it's going to give me an OR. But in this case, we want to narrow, we want to refine this audience. So we'll remove that. And we'll go over to narrow. In this case, I'm going to say I want basically companies in a particular category, or in this case, industry. And so we can just say anyone who's in, let's go with tech. Tech information media, you can see the kind of further refinement you can do here. We'll leave that general. You can see now that's dropped down to 630,000. So typically the audience size we're shooting for in LinkedIn is on the minimum level about a 50K and on the maximum level around 500K. So I probably would even refine this further, but we'll just go through for the example. Um, I'm going to remove the audience expansion. So this is basically going to, if I have it enabled, hit anyone who's similar to the audience I've created, but we want to focus in on just this audience that we've made. I can view a summary of this audience, which is just kind of a quick snapshot. I can also save the audience for later use, so you can pull it from here. And then I can also reset the audience if I just want to start fresh. So in this ad format, so website visit actually gives you the most ad formats visible. So I can choose single image, carousel, video, text, spotlight, messaging, conversation, and event. So in this example, I'm just going to leave on the single image ad. And then in this placement section, I'm actually going to take off the LinkedIn Audience Network. Now you can actually see it's going to show me different projections here, specifically around clicks, because basically I'm not letting this go on their third-party network of publishers. That's another lesson for the time, but more or less you can expand onto that network. It's just really important to add restrictions around which publishers it's being shown or which placements it's being shown on. So for this instance, it's just going to show up on LinkedIn, just a single image ad hitting our core audience with a website visit objective. Here I can set a daily or a lifetime budget. Typically we'll go with a daily budget, but a lifetime budget is useful, especially if you might have a lower overall budget for your campaigns. Setting that to a lower spend and setting that to a lifetime budget will actually help you get around some of the daily budget minimums that you'll face if you use a daily budget. So let's say if you have a minimum CPC, a lifetime budget will actually help you work within that because it's not functioning on a daily basis, but on a lifetime basis. We can set our start and end dates or just set a start date and run continuously. Here we're shown a max delivery cost cap or manual bidding. So this is it's being optimized for landing page clicks. I can actually set this to optimize for impressions, but we want clicks, so we'll optimize towards that. For bidding strategy, typically we'll start off with max delivery just to see how it's running and then dial it in with the manual bidding. You can also start with manual bidding. And basically, if I start with manual bidding, it's going to use the data that I have in my targeting to let me know what is going to be the bid range for us. There's also this newer feature for adjusting for high value clicks. Typically don't use that right now. Haven't seen it prove out just yet. But what we'll do is in this example, I'll show you. So we have our recommended CPC based on our targeting, and then we have this range. This is what the advertisers similar to us are bidding. So you can see on the bottom end 20, on the high end 51. If you're going to use manual bidding, I would recommend not starting with the recommended bid. I would start more or less about 20% higher than the bottom end. So we might do something like 24, and then see how our daily budget runs for a couple days. So if we're getting close to our daily budget of 100, then we're right where we need to be. If we're not, if we're getting halfway there, it means we need to up our manual bid. Next, we have conversion tracking. This is, as it says, optional because, again, we're not going for conversions, we're going for website clicks, but adding this here, as it says, will basically have an active conversion being tracked and reported in our reports. So from here, we've actually set up the bulk of the targeting, the budgeting, the placements, the optimizations, and then when you hit next, we then come into ad creation. So ad creation, you can either create new ads, and you can do this from scratch. So you'll have image placement, you'll be having primary text, you'll see, so you have naming your ad, introductory text, destination. You also have images that you can choose, as well as headline and description with your call to action. So you can actually let's say you're doing a blog post and you don't have any blog creative or anyone to actually create a new blog cover for you. You could actually enter in the URL for the blog, have LinkedIn scrape it, and then it would give you the image from the blog to then use that in your ad. A lot to go into here, so we'll just, in this case, we'll just we'll leave that for another video, but really it's mostly what you're going to be doing is creating the ads within here. You can also browse your existing content, so anything you created prior to. Again, we have this example, some other ads that we could load up. And then you also can have both existing content from ads created or existing content from what you've posted on your page. So this is where you can leverage page posts to then put into your ad campaigns, typically in like an existing or retargeting layer. And that might be something like you posted a blog post on your LinkedIn page, or you posted some thought leadership piece. You can leverage that here. And then an important thing that often gets missed is right here. So ads and campaign for the rotation is set to optimize. That's the default option. So if you're launching a new campaign, let's say you just created 5 ads, you do want to start with rotate ads evenly. And that way they're just entering the auction without any bias of performance happening too soon. So you're going to let all of them get even spend without, again, as it's saying, taking performance into account. This is what it's recommending you do in the default, but we typically like to start off just because you might have an ad that just doesn't get enough spend and then gets optimized away from, and then you'll never really have good data on that. So always start with rotate ads evenly, and then once you've got that optimized, you can then start optimizing towards that ad. After that, you've actually started your, you've added your creative for your campaign, and you can actually finish the campaign and move on to launch. It'll basically just be a review of the next screen of the ads that you have. Obviously, we don't have any in there. And then there'll be a launch campaign down here. Once you've launched your campaign, it'll go into review. If you have anything that's problematic against their compliance, they'll message you via email. But otherwise, your campaigns would start within, I would say, as little as 30 minutes to an hour. You can see your campaigns start. So this is just a quick walkthrough of how to get started in LinkedIn ads from campaign creation through ads through launch. It's a great tool. It's something that you do need to make sure that you don't fall into some of the placement pitfalls or the audience pitfalls with expanded targeting or the placements. But just sticking to what we've covered in this video should set you up for some success. You'll also want to be doing refinement after you've launched a campaign, but that will be for another video and for another time. Thank you.